Hi everyone, Cayman Reynolds here. Today I'm going to talk to you about our preferred feeder. We've had a couple videos on how to make feed, how to get your feed into feeding containers like the ones below. But what about the type of feeder? There's entrance feeders, division board feeders, top feeders. Some people just use quart jars or buckets inverted on the hives. There's several types of feeders out there. What we prefer is the frame feeder, and I'm going to show you why. It's very inexpensive, depending on the model you get. There's Cadillac models out there that are totally unnecessary, and I'm fixing to tell you why. But they're okay if you want to use those. They're just more money. And these feeders, these watering cans we have at my feet, in the last video we showed you how to get sugar syrup in them. You can use a honey gate or a bucket with a valve on it. You can also use a couple other methods, but those are very cheap and inexpensive ways to do it. And so you can just take one of these right here and go to a colony, pop the lid, and just say, okay, well, this colony needs a quart. You can kind of, after a while, get a pretty good idea on what a quart is. Well, this colony over here might need a gallon. It might need less, or maybe half a gallon. So these feeders are really nice that you can just quickly go around, open the lids, and just give them what they need, and just close the lid. And they're very customizable depending on your needs. There's 2-gallon ones. This one is a 1-gallon one, and you can use floats in them. The biggest concern with frame feeders and why many people miss out on frame feeding and the pleasures of the speed of frame feeding is the fact that they've heard, oh, it's going to drown bees, it drowns bees. Well, any tool used inappropriately is going to drown bees. So the appropriate way to use a frame feeder is not to use it when you install a package. And the reason for that is when you get a package, they're not keyed in on that queen. They probably have only known that queen for maybe a day or two at most. So that's not their queen. Most of them haven't decided that that's their queen. The hive runs off of pheromones. They don't smell any brood in the hive. They don't smell that this is our hive smell. So when you throw them in there, they're running frantically about. And when that happens, you get a lot of drowned bees because they get down in here running around and they get on top of each other and push each other down into it, and you end up with several hundred drowned bees. And many people do that once or maybe twice, and then they're done with their frame feeder. And they toss them to the side and they don't use them. And that's unfortunate. What I recommend you do with your packages, your new colonies, shook swarms, is that you use a different feeder for the first day or two until the bees get used to that location. They're calmly doing their job on the combs, the queen is laying, everything's normal, and then these things work great. You stick them in there, and like I just showed you, you just pour what the hive needs. The bees are more than capable of walking up and down this plastic on the outside, which is smooth, and on the inside of this Dadant frame feeder, you have ribs, so it's even easier for them to walk. And a lot of times they'll build little deposits of comb down in there. And like I said, you can use floats if you want to. It's not necessary, but those floats are going to get down in there and float to the top. And whenever the bees drain it, you have to watch out because they're going to propolize that to the bottom just like they do everything else. So you'll have to break them so that they'll float to the top. But that's not necessary. You also can take some screen, like window screen, and stick it down there in the middle. They'll propolize and make burr comb all over it, but some people like that so they can walk up and down. But ultimately, you're not going to drown bees if they're a healthy colony, and even if you don't have a float. The only other way that you really can drown bees is if the bees are chilling in the feeder because they're trying to get their body heat away from the brood during the warmer months. Then sometimes you'll pour in there and there will be a bunch of bees. And you're going to kill a few bees like that. A lot of times most of them get out. But what I recommend is you put some smoke down in there and smoke them out. And a lot of times you're going to have bearding on the front of the hives when this is happening. And so you just got to kind of plan for that. But then again, if you just have a handful of bees, like 4 or 5, you just pour slowly, they're going to work their way up. Bees are a lot tougher than most people realize, and we don't have problems with drowning. So this is a very quick way of feeding your colonies. All you have to do is just give them what they need. It's good to put on a lot of feed quickly. It's good for just a little bit of feed. So These basic frame feeders you can get for a handful of dollars at Dadant, Mother Lode, and a few other bee supplies. And like I've said, they have models that have special holes and ladders, cap-in ladders that the bees can go down, and it's supposed to help prevent drowning. But you don't really need those. So this is a tried and proven method. Check out the frame feeder. I think you're going to enjoy it. You can just take the lid off, go take a bunch of lids off of a bunch of colonies, quickly fill them up, shut the lids, and you're done. So thanks for watching the video. If you want to subscribe to our videos, just hit the button.